we can try to generate and cultivate good intention, motivation for being here. We can think that may our time here become cause and conditions to understand our own mind better and to improve our own mind better. And may it be cause and conditions for us to achieve our full potential, the fully enlightened state, the fully awakened state as quick as possible. So we can be most beneficial, most helpful to each and every sentient being. With highest level of love, compassion, and wisdom, and a skillful means. And may it be cause and conditions for us to grow ourselves internally and reach out more others and be most beneficial and helpful while we are still on the path. Then we can do that. Yep.
What page am I on?
The long mandala offering on page 97. Long mandala offering. Page 97, long mandala offering.
Page numbers are different.
Hmm?
They're not on the same page.
Oh. It should be close. Long mandala offering to the force of teaching.
Might be 86.
86. Didn't get that far off.
And where's yours? Or 94.
It's on 99 too. You have many choices. Well, no, it said these conceptual.
What's on 96?
Everyone find a version? Long mandala offering?
Tibetan?
I found the Tibetan version.
Yeah, there's
Oh.
only the Tibetan. I
It
think.
was 99.
Take your choice, but there's no English. So. Okay. You want if you want to read the English version, it's on 105. English translation is there. Okay. So do you want to do it in English or in Tibetan? Everyone wants to try the Tibetan? Okay. So we apologize if the pronunciation is not too good. Okay. Om Benza Bome
Om Geshe Sherab Om Benza Rege Om Shi Jare Jiko Usuri Japare Ra Shalupa Poto Zambole No Palan Che Chan Tameni Luda Lupa Mayata Mayache Inde Dalam Joto Damenita Dameniketa Emboche Yere Pasam Kishin Tujuwa Mamo Pai Loto Kolo Remboche Nubo Rembo ngāpe rinpoche, techen paye kumba, ye ma chenwa ma lu ma gara ma, me to ma lupe ma, nangse ma, richa ma, ni ma ndawa, rinpoche du chode namba gyawe gyatse, udo la dame, kocho kun sun changwa me, sashi dongwa, teza rinchen tsawa, yupa chepe palden lama damba ne, yapa duya lama losa tuwa, chenpo la so kodan chepa namla shingang po shu, tuje tuwe tundu shudu su, shene yanda son do, ma yu namge tada nyepe, samje tamje la tukse wa, chenpe gon shenje la do so. Sa shi pe ki chun shi me to da re ra le she ni pe Kembali Sangye Shinto Mele Uwa Indo Gunanta Shela Jepasho Idam Guru Rana Mandala Niyatayami. Sangye chodang soge chonam la chanchu patu dani kyapso shi dake chushe gebe sonam ge dola penche sangye luwa Sangye chodang soge chonam la chanchu patu dani kyapso shi dake chushe gebe sonam ge dola penche sangye luwa Sangye chodang soge chonam la chanchu patu dane dage choche gebe sonam dola penche sangye chupa Sangye tuje nye done lao tamche ma penche tambe chunye tun kodam de la chaksa So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, as you are aware that the topic that we are going to discuss is mind and its potential. So, as many of you are aware that mind is a huge subject, just as physical phenomena or the physics is a huge subject, mind is a huge subject. From Buddhist point of view, all the phenomena are kind of divided or categorized into three categories: physical forms, physical matters, and then non-physical matters. The mind, consciousness is non-physical, non-form matters. or not a matter, non-physical phenomena. I don't know whether you can say energy, but probably you could say non-physical, non-form, and then a phenomena which is neither the consciousness or neither that physical form, such as the example would be like the person. So the mind is non-physical, non-matter, is a pure awareness which has the functioning of apprehending or comprehending the object or knowing the object, and which nature is pure luminous. So that is in general the mind. Then the mind can be divided into many different categories in order to understand the mind or the consciousness. Just as form have different categories, the visual forms, the sound, the smell, the taste, tangible objects, so forth. Similarly, the mind has many categories, and it can be kind of divided into many different categories. One way of dividing and understanding is what we call mind. The mind is mental factors, so that is one way of understanding the mind, by kind of dividing two categories: the primary mind and the 51 mental factors. So primary mind is like consciousness. The mind is like the canvas of the screen or the canvas of your art or drawing. And then mental factors are the one which like different painting, different drawing in that canvas, which has more personality, more qualities, which describe those different qualities, each of mental factors are different functioning, even though they have general functioning of the mind itself, but at the same time they have their own different functioning of it, individual functioning of it. The primary mind has like 6 divisions: 5 sense consciousness and mental consciousness. So that's 6 primary consciousness mind. And then, as I said, mental factors, there's 51 mental factors. When we divide into, then they are kind of divided into 5 omnipresent or mind, which are always together with all the minds. And then 5 mind which determine or ascertain the object. So again, those mind accompany those mind which are the mind which are able to ascertain the objects. And then there are 11 virtuous mind, and then 6 root delusions, and 20 secondary delusions, and then so-called the 4 changeable mind, which is more neutral state of mind, which is neither virtues, neither delusions, is more neutral state of mind, changeable, but it can be changed into virtues or non-virtues according to the preceding intention, motivations, or the mind which accompany that. So those minds. So these are the mental factors. Again, I don't want to go in details, and just to give idea what mind means and how we can understand. It is subject a very profound and extensive subjects in order to understand the mind is functioning fully. We have to understand each of those different minds, how those different minds or mental factor, how does they arises, what are the cause and conditions which give arise to those different minds, and what is the definition of each of those mind, what is the functioning of each of mind, how does each of those different mind affect us. Does it affect in a positive way, or does it affect us in a negative way? So how does each of those different mental state or the mental factors, how does it affect us in our life? So in order to understand all this, and in order to understand our own different emotions, mind, definitely it requires much more deeper studying, learning, understanding, which I think we don't have time to go all of those in details for in one sessions. Then also you see the mind being divided into direct perception and conceptual thoughts. There's 2 ways of dividing into, again, trying to understand among all different emotions, different thoughts, different feelings, different mind, which are direct perceptions and which are non-direct conceptual mind thoughts. That is another way of understanding the mind. And then also it has another way of understanding all the mind is through what we call the 7 state of mind, Lori Dun, or 7 awareness. I don't know how exactly the translation might be. And those are the 7 consciousness is divided into two categories: violent cognition and non-violent cognitions. And within the violent cognitions, there is direct violent cognition, inferential cognitions, violent cognitions, and then within the non-violent cognitions, then there is subsequent cognizer or cognitions, correct the mind, which is called awareness, which is called correct assumptions. Then the doubt, the mind of the doubt. No, before that, then the mind which the object appear but cannot determine or cannot ascertain, and then the doubt, and then the wrong, mistaken conceptions. So again, all the mind can be categorized into any of those, mainly in those categories, in those 7 categories. And it is also way to how to improve our mind progressively Suppose let's say we might have a totally wrong misunderstanding about reality or impermanent, where your mind totally hold or grabs the impermanent phenomena as permanent, okay? Even though it is impermanent, even though it is changing, transforming, your mind grabs or apprehend as permanent. So that is totally mistaken mind. Totally mistaken to the reality of the thing. Even though it is impermanent, your mind, that mind is holding, grasping, apprehending as permanent. Then as you study, as you reflect, as you contemplate more, maybe you started to have doubt whether it is permanent or impermanent. Before you totally kind of believe it is permanent. Now you are starting to have more doubt whether it is permanent or not permanent. Maybe permanent, but you are not 100% believing that it is permanent. So it is a progressive. Now you are starting to have more doubt about that. Then as you reflect, contemplate, study, practice more, then you started to have more improve your mind from doubt to the mind which is able to, which the object appear but unable to ascertain. So it is going a little more progressive than the doubt. And then as you improve, then it becomes correct assumptions. So then you have totally believe that it is impermanent, but not necessarily ascertain. Okay, you have not ascertained the object, but you have the correct assumption. You believe and you think it is impermanent now. It's impermanent. You assume your assumptions, and it is correct according to reality, but your understanding or assumption of impermanent at that point is not certain. Therefore, still you are not 100% sure. If someone says something and gives good explanation why it is permanent, then your mind started to waver. Oh, maybe that is true. Do you get it? Until we have the correct understanding or assertions, even though it is correct assumption, your mind is kind of not 100% sure. So it can be kind of misguided. Someone who can kind of convince you and explain why it is permanent, then your mind started to change again, the possibility. But as you reflect, contemplate more and more, with reasoning, logic, even using your experience, then you begin to have the correct assertion or correct understanding through the reasoning and logic. When you have that correct understanding assertions by using reason and logic, the first moment of that is valid inferential cognitions. Now, your understanding of impermanent is correct understanding. Because of that correct understanding, no one can kind of mislead you or misguide you, no matter how much they try to explain. Because of your own experience through reasoning and logic, you have come to conclusion, you are 100% sure that it is impermanent. So now your understanding has really come to valid cognitions, really correct understanding, assertions. But still, it's based on reasoning, logic, and it's still on conceptual level. It is still on conceptual level. So, again, with that correct understanding through your conceptions, as you reflect and meditate and contemplate over and over again and again, eventually you have a direct understanding of the impermanent without any image, without any, and that is the direct valid cognition of, in this case, impermanent. So then you have direct understanding of impermanent, the subtle impermanent. We are talking about the subtle impermanent, not through just inferential reason and logic, but with experience directly perceiving. So it is no more, conceptual. It's no more conceptual, and no more it doesn't depend on reason and logic anymore. It's direct understanding. But to reach to that at the very beginning, you have to depend on reason and logic to have that inferential valid cognition. Eventually, that lead to direct valid cognition, able to perceive directly. So that will be same with impermanent, emptiness, all those hidden phenomena. And then the second moment of inferential valid cognition and the direct valid cognition is what we call subsequent cognizers. So it's the next continuity or next moment of that two valid cognizers. So with that, you see, through that process, you see how our understanding of something progress from totally misconception, misunderstanding, wrong, to the direct, correct understanding. So that is what we call logic. Logic, logic means mind and awareness. But when we study that, you study all about these 7 different minds in details. And again, I won't go in details because, yeah. It will be trying to do too many things in such a small sessions, too many. But I just wanted to kind of describe all these different states of mind in different ways for us to have how vast the subject this mind is, and how it requires a lot of more studying, more learning in order to understand about the mind, the emotions, the mental factors in more details, in more profound, more deeper level. So next I'm going to talk about so we talk a little bit with that, we talk a little bit about describing a little bit about the mind, okay? So I described a little bit about the mind. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the potential of the mind. And it is very important to understand the potential of the mind, because we underestimate our own potentials, not recognizing or understanding incredible potentials that our mind or consciousness has. And because we didn't understand the full potential, we are unable to utilize and use our mind to its full potentials, and neglect that part very much. If we look from one perspective, the potential of mind is such all the development that we see in the world, in technology or in health, everything's whatever there are, those um, development that has happened over the centuries, and very fast, even very fast nowadays. Not only it is developing, but sometimes it's developing sometimes too fast, I guess, to some extent. And it happens because of the human mind. If you see all these, to be able to bring all different energies together to produce incredible, powerful energies. Let's say nuclear powers, okay? Whether you use in a negative way or positive way, but incredible power it has. The energy has always been there, but it has never been be able to bring in such a way it produces such that. And that is over the time, the people using their mind, intelligence, and with that human mind intelligence, experimenting different things, and able to kind of come to that understanding, conclusions, and able to make things happen, such as incredible, powerful energy, such as nuclear power. And then everything, it is a result of lot of experiment. And those experiments are done with people's intelligence, thinking, and that comes from your mind, our mind. So everything that, all the development that we see in our world, all the physical development, that it is a result of our mind. So if we are able to direct the mind in certain way, it has incredible potential. So from that perspective, you can see the human mind's potential. Without that intelligence, without that mind, all this cannot happen. Even if you might have whatever physical body we might have, if you don't have that intelligence, if that mind, all this development will never happen. Also the power of the mind is not only we are able to produce and make such things, but it has incredible power where we use such energy. In what way we use that energy? Let's say nuclear power. It can be very destructive or it can be very constructive. It can be very constructive, that we use in a proper way to produce energy and so a lot of other good things, or it can be very destructive, where you use to make bomb and weapon and so forth. And how we are going to use that energy, whether in constructive or destructive, it depends also on our mind, the mind. If you have the right state of mind, compassion, caring, loving, you will always use in a positive state of, for a constructive, positive way. But if we allow our negative emotions, mind, such as anger, hatred, those negative mind to kind of take over us, then we might use those for a destructive, for distractions. So again, the mind has incredible potentials, but that potential, whether it is going to be constructive, destructive, it depends on how we use it. Just like the nuclear energy itself. The nuclear energy itself, you wouldn't say it is constructive or destructive itself. It's more kind of neutral to some extent. But it's how you use it to make what. In same way, our mind, in general speaking, is incredible, powerful energy there. And whether it is going to be very destructive, constructive, it depends on the persons, how they use their mind, how they utilize their mind. It can be a source of the destruction of this planet, or it can be a source of sustaining this planet. So again, from that perspective, we have to understand the power of the mind, the potential of mind, and to utilize it properly in a positive way. Having understood that, then if we talk about happiness, peace in our life, again, it all comes to the mind. It all comes to the mind. Whether there is going to be an external peaceful environment or not, it depends on the internal state of mind of the human beings and others. If there is internal peace, the external peace will come naturally. The external peaceful environment will be created naturally. But if there is no peace in your heart, if we have so much anger, hatred, resentment, and boiling with all these kind of negative energies inside, there cannot never be a peaceful environment. It's a matter of time before it will explode. It will explode in a way where there will be a lot of distractions, which we happen to see in this world. When there is so much anger and hatred, it cannot keep you down. You might suppress for a while, either by yourself or by some energies, external forces, energies, and you suppress it. Over the time, there is no more space to suppress it, filled with that negative energy, and one day there is no more space, and you can't keep it, and it will explode. When it explodes, it always explodes in a very violent way. Which will be very destructive and very painful to oneself and many others. So therefore, even though the environment here, let's say today now, seems very peaceful environment, but that can immediately change if one of our anger, frustrations, hatred explode. The external peaceful environment is so unstable, unreliable. It can change immediately, depending on state of the beings who live in that environment. But if all the beings who live in that environment has a peace in their mind, no frustration, no anger, no hatred, peaceful with themselves, then the external environment is peaceful naturally. There is no danger of explosions of that. There is no danger of from becoming peaceful to unpeaceful in a moment. So therefore, and then if there is no peace in yourself, even externally there is peace, it is not a peaceful for yourself, because there is so much happening inside you. So therefore, it is so crucial to find that peace inside, from within. The external, for a more stable, reliable, true external peaceful environment, it has to come from within. If there is no peace in within, then there is not going to be any lasting, true, peaceful environment externally as well. And finding peace in yourself, it has to come through your mind, through the transforming of your mind, changing of your mind, your emotion, your thoughts, your feelings. Happiness, true satisfaction, true content, again, it has to come from within, not from outside. Yes, external things can give us some sense of temporary gratifications, pleasure, joy, satisfactions, but that never lasts. That never lasts. That can never give you lasting satisfactions. That can never give you lasting joy and happiness. It's just momentary. That could last from 1 second to maybe few months, few years. That's all. And there is nothing, something complicating philosophy or anything. We just have to observe our experience, look in our life, and see that. When you get a new mobile, there might be excitement, joy, satisfactions for how many days. Then a new one comes, and there's no more satisfaction until you want that one. You feel this is, and it's the same with, and when you get the new ones, you are excited, but how much that excitement lasts, the joy, satisfaction. After some time, you are not satisfied. This is, oh, this is not good enough, this is good, not good enough, this is that good, not good enough. And then someone comes with something which offer more functioning or more sometime, or just changing the little bit of that, and then the satisfaction, joy you had before. And constantly because of that, our life is running after things, to get things. That is our experience. if the external things really give you more satisfactions, more joy, more content, more happiness, the more people who have more, they should be more happy. Is that the case? Is that the case? The fact and reality, that is not the case. I have seen people who have so much, so less from some of the cultures where I come from, some of those village peoples. Very, some of them living in a very hardship physically. But a lot of them really so much joy, happy in their life. On the other side, I've seen also in many parts of the world where people have so much externally, so much, but their life is so miserable, so unhappy. Some people I've seen from the morning, very miserable, complain about so many things, even though you have so much. So that is very clear that if by having more external things, if that is giving you more happiness, more joy, more satisfaction, all these people wouldn't be so unhappy, so dissatisfied, because they have much more. They should be much more happy, much more satisfied, much more joyful than those people who have less. But that wasn't the case. Then we don't have to look their example, we just have to look our own example. How much you had when you were young, how much you have now, compare that, you have probably much more, double of that. When you just finish your high school, you have nothing. But is your life, are you more happy, more satisfied, more content, more joyful than when you were young? If those things is giving more joy, more satisfaction, more happiness, your level of satisfaction, your level of happiness should have increased to much more higher level than you were young. But that might not be the case. If that is not the case, to believe that if you have more, that you will be more happy, more satisfied, is totally illusions. It's totally illusions. Again, it's not something, some kind of philosophy, some kind of is our own experience. Our own experience. We just have to observe and see our own experience to know that. I mean, why is there so much depressions on this part of the world? The level of the depression is so high. I was kind of very shocked to find out that people should be more happy. For many countries where there is much more less, this part of the world has much more, and they should be more happy, more satisfied, more joyful, less desperate, less depressions, less unhappy. But that's the strategy. All this doesn't seem to indicate any of that. What you see is people are more unhappy. Seems to indicate that. it's very clear sign. What it shows is that true sense of joy, satisfaction doesn't come from outside. It has to come from within. As I said, external things does provide us some kind of physical comfort. That is all it can give us. Some kind of physical comfort. Convenience, some kind of make things a little bit more convenient, give us some kind of more physical comfort and so forth. That's all. But not the sense of true satisfaction, not the sense of true joy, happiness. But can we find true satisfactions, true joy, true happiness? Definitely. If we focus our resource, our energy, our time more to develop our own mind, to take care of our own mind, then definitely the more you give your more time to work with your own mind, the more you will find more satisfaction, more content, more happiness coming from within. Once you are able to find that true satisfaction, joy, happiness from within, then your life changes. All the up and down in our life at the moment are a result of our own unsubdued mind. One moment you are so excited. Next moment you feel so down. It changes in moment to moment. One moment someone praise you, you are excited, happy, feel great. And next moment someone criticizes you, you feel so upset, down, feeling so is more than their one praising and one criticizing. More than that, it is your state of mind which is making you that up and down. If we have a strong mind, if we have worked our mind, if we have a strong mind, those will not interfere as much, will not affect as much. You will be able to remain peace and calm and continue in your life. But not being able to do it is more than their word, is our state of mind. One moment is sunny, very happy, jovial. One moment is cloudy and you become kind of negative. So that is why external things are conditions, impermanent, so they changes all the time. And if we allow that change to affect our mind, we can never remain stable. Our mind will be always up and down because things are changing outside, up and down. But if we take care of our mind, if we learn how to keep our mind stable, peaceful, then despite external up and down, despite external chaos, you can find stability and peace inside, not being affected in negative way, the way it affects us at the moment. And that is when you begin to find real peace, joy in your life. You can go anywhere, any places, you can be any kind of people. things would change up and down, but you can still remain stable, peaceful. And that is the power of the mind, the potential of the mind to be able to through the training our mind, we can remain unmoved, stable, peaceful, despite all the storms, chaos that is going around yourself on externally. It's like you can remain like the very stability of the depth of the stillness at the depth of the oceans, despite all the so much wave on the surface. No matter how much wave there is on the surface, it will not disturb the stillness at the bottom of the oceans. Same way, when we are able to train our mind, when we find that stability, that stillness, like the ocean, bottom of the ocean, you see things going around like the waves all the time, big waves, small waves, coming all the time. But you are able to remain still, unmoved, peace, calm, and stable. So that is the power of the mind, and there is that potential if we are able to train it to be able to keep our mind in that stillness, that stability. That is the potential of the mind. So to be able to find that true happiness, joy in our life, regardless of what external situations, being undisturbed. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Isn't that what we want to be instead? So, if we want to do that, then of course, we have to understand the power of the mind and to work with that, to reach that state. There is a statement in the Shantideva's Bodhisattva way of life where it explains something like that. Yeah, I think there is quite a few of lines, and then where it says the Bodhisattvas, they reach a point where they are able to make the generosity of their own body without feeling the pain. Like when you make the generosity where you feel like that chopping a vegetable, it seems, when I first see it, it seems, how can that be, It's someone, when there is kind of being chopped, that they don't feel the pain like we feel at the moment. How can they feel like it is just like chopping a vegetables? It just seems a little bit kind of exaggerating. That was at least my impression at the very beginning when I first saw it. Because it was talking about if you practice the Bodhisattva's path, then you have to practice generosity of many things, including generosity of your own body, and how can that happen? And then Sandideva come with, as at the very beginning, of course, you are not encouraged to do that, but as you progress in your path, then he said it wouldn't be difficult at that point because that you wouldn't even feel the pain that we feel at the moment. So at that point, when you reach that point, then it wouldn't be difficult. So that is where it is. But when you reflect on one point, you begin to feel it is possible because it's the power of the mind. One example, like you often hear people saying, and also that like in something like in a war or something, in some kind of similar situation when there is so much that emotion, strong anger and strong whatever that strong, even when they have been cut, they don't notice it. They don't feel it for a moment, and they even notice that they have been cut. Only later they notice that they have been cut and wounded, and they start to feel the pain. But for at the very beginning moment, physically they have been wounded and cut, but they didn't feel that because their mind was in such a rage, so strong rages that they couldn't feel the physically even when it is dead. If that is possible in a negative way, when you are in such rage and such a anger and such a negative feeling, emotions, then it should be same when you have incredible love, compassion, patience, and understanding emptiness directly. When all this emotion, all this come, then it is possible that you might just like that. Do you get it? So then I begin to kind of see the possibility of what Shandev was saying. It is possible. At the moment we don't have that experience. But if we have the experience on negative side, if that is possible negative, why can't the positive side, why can't it be? And another example that you see, that we can see is like His Holiness Dalai Lama was mentioning a story. I think it was in 2002 when he had this glitter stone.
Kidney stone? Or
Not a kid,
gallbladder?
gallbladder, yeah. And he had to cancel one Kalachara initiation, and so he was saying, because he felt the pain was so bad, kind of so almost unbearable, so strong. So while he was being taken to the hospital, he mentioned that while they were driving by, of course in India, in Bihar, one of the most poor states, he saw a lot of children and others, homeless children on the street. So when he saw that, it caught his attention, and he just could let go of that thought. His mind started to kind of think about their situation, their problems, and that. So his mind was totally kind of involved in that, of thinking about their pains and their situations. He totally forgot about his own pain. Not only he forgot mentally, physically he forgot, and he didn't feel the pain because his mind was so involved in that, totally involved in that. So that is again another indications of the power of the mind. When you have that strong mind, that you can affect how you feel physically. It doesn't mean there is not a wound. It doesn't mean the stone has gone. It doesn't mean, but you don't feel the pain as much as it felt before. Do you get it? And so when I reflect and think that way, then I begin to see the Shantideva's point there, that it makes sense and it's possible. So what it gives is the power of the mind again, the potential of the mind. Not only to the power of the mind is such that it not only it can reduce and overcome the emotional pain, mental pain, but it has power to also overcome some physical pain as well, where you don't feel the pain as much. Mm. So the effect, the influence, the power that the mind has over the body is much more stronger than the body having an effect on the mind. Even though they are related, our body and our mind are very related, and it does affect each other. Depending on our state of physical body, it affects our mind. Depending on our state of mind, it affects our body. But the power to affect the mind to the body is much more stronger, much more powerful than the body to affect the mind. So again, with that, you can see the potential of the mind, incredible potential of the mind. Another way of understanding the power of the mind is the power of the mind, the potential of the mind. It's like our different emotion now, up and down. One moment so excited, one moment so depressed, or one moment strong attachment or kind of excitement due to the attachment, one moment so much upset and angry, and so we see our life, our emotions, our state of mind up and down all the time. Even the smallest external circumstances change in external, our minds up and down, our emotion up and down. It doesn't need to be a huge change. Smallest, very slightest changes happening around us immediately affect our mind, and then we are up and down, our emotion up and down. But the good thing is all these emotions, bad, good, up and down, all these emotions are like the clouds in the sky. Whereas our fundamental nature of the mind is like the blue sky. Pure and unpolluted in its nature. Because our mind, the fundamental nature of our mind is like the blue sky, pure blue sky, unpolluted, undiluted in its nature, whereas those different emotions are like the clouds. It can be clear. Those negative emotions, those emotions can be clear, and to be able to see and experience that the clear blue sky of your mind. And when we are able to experience, see, and that, then we will not be affected by those up and down emotions. So, as Lama Yeshe used to say, we always think impossible, impossible, impossible is our mind. We are underestimating our mind's potentials. With such mind, human minds, with such intelligence, everything is possible. With the mind, everything is made possible. With such mind, everything is made possible. So with that, I think maybe I might conclude. So with that recognition, with that understanding, how incredible powerful our mind is and how much potential it has to make a huge differences in our life and others' life, trying to work with that is important. I think the world, in so far, has tried to fix the world problem by fixing the external things. It hasn't worked so far, and it will never work unless we work with inside, work with our mind. One cannot bring lasting peace to the world by external force if there is no, as I said at the very beginning, if there is no peace in the inside. One day it will explode. Nothing can force them to be quiet. We are seeing that all over the world, all the time. You can use all kind of violence. You cannot stop them because there is so much inside. There's so much fire inside. It cannot come down. So therefore, if we want to see better world, more peaceful world, more harmonious world, of course we have to start from ourselves. We have to start from ourselves by subduing those fire of those negative thoughts, emotions, and trying to bring more coolness and calmness or positive state of mind. And when we are able to do that, definitely we are able to see more peace in yourself, around you, and the world that we live in. And then also, when we see that the potential and the power of the mind in kind of how we live our life, more satisfied or unsatisfied, more happy or more unhappy, when we understand that it mainly come from your state of mind than external, then again we try to put more effort in developing that state of mind instead of neglecting that and totally focusing everything on external. So I believe it is very crucial point to understand the power and the potential of the mind and how it affects our life and others' life due to our different state of minds. Due to negative state of mind, how it brings much pain, harm to oneself and others. Due to positive state of mind, how it brings much peace, calmness, joy, satisfaction in your life and in others' life. With that understanding, then trying to work with your mind, trying to reduce and get rid of those destructive emotions, thoughts, feelings as much as possible. Trying to improve and increase the positive state of mind as much as possible. And so that is key to your happiness, that is key to the happiness of others, that is key to find peace in yourself and to find a peace in outside world as well. So with that, I think I will and then so I can take one or two questions if there is questions.
Yeah, Geshe Sherab. There's like, I guess when you sometimes you talk to your friends and stuff like that, and you kind of tell them a little bit like that, kind of like what you were saying, like if your mind is kind of still, calm, no matter what the the ups and downs and external in their external lives, they seem to always have kind of like a feeling to that, like, well, that's kind of so that's like so that I don't enjoy things, or I don't it's kind of dry or boring or something like that. So I never can like, oh well, I can't say I can't explain or say or advise anything like that. So what would you say? For
Well,
that?
from externally, it might look boring, but internally there is a lot of excitement. Okay, so what it looks from outside and inside might be different. For them to do that, they have to experience themselves to feel that what it means. So definitely, I think that is what a lot of people feel. Um, it is like similarly, it is saying like that. People who are so used to drinking, let's say, and they enjoy, their enjoyment come from that drinking. For them, it's very hard for them to understand that you can have a fun, that you can be a cool, that you can enjoy without drinking, because that's all they know. How to enjoy, how to be cool, how to be fun. So for them, it is very difficult to understand. But someone who has given up drinking or who have never drank, but they still find many different ways to have fun, many different ways to enjoy, many different ways to be cool. But for a lot of people who spend their life enjoying in that sense, they couldn't understand that there can be another form of fun and joy. And so that is why they are finding that is all they have been doing, and that is all they know, what means to be fun, what it means enjoying. They haven't tried something. Maybe they have, if they have tried meditation and be able to calm down, they start enjoying that. And so they don't have to rely on something like that to enjoy it. They can find an enjoyment in sitting, enjoyment in different things, and different other practice. So for a lot of them, they find that way because that is what they have been doing, and that's all they know at the moment. And they haven't tried other ways where it can be as much enjoyable, as much as cool, as much as fun, without having to do these things. Actually, when I was in Australia, I saw one morning they was having some interview with one guy who started something called website Hello Sunday Morning or something like that, and he would, and it is about how to learn how to not to drink for a day, starting with like that. And because he himself used to drink a lot, and he himself was that was kind of enjoyment for him when he was also very young, and he was also still quite young. And but later I think he found a certain way, and then he finds so much peace and enjoyment actually not drinking that. And so he wanted to kind of share and help people who have similar situations, and just them to kind of experience themselves those. And I was very shocked and surprised when I saw that interview. For me, it was because in the past I always thought, in my naive mind, I always thought people get drunk because they started drinking and they then, not because they want to get drunk, but they drink because they want to have fun, enjoyment, or they drink because they want to forget something or whatever that something, and then they overdrink it, then you get drunk. But when in that, what he was saying was, on Friday evening, those young ones, including he did that, they actually go to get drunk. And that was kind of shocking for me. The intention is to go get drunk. And that was kind of mind-blowing for me, and shock and kind of that. But there is that life as well. And for them, for a lot of those young ones, that is what they mean, fun, enjoyment. And that's what they know. So in his cases, later he found out that he can still find the joy, fun, without doing that. And so that is why he is kind of trying to encourage and trying to just encouraging them to try things that he did, and so that was, and so that is things. For example, when I was young, even in the monastery, to me, having a fun enjoyment means being able to go and sneak and watch a movie, to be able to sneak out and go and play soccer. That was kind of excitement, enjoyment, fun. And not having that means no enjoyment, no fun. Feel very boring. And of course I felt boring, very kind of dull, kind of life, kind of that kind of the discipline and everything that we went through. And not only me, a lot of young monks feel similar in that. But at that time, that was how it is, we felt. But now, I've grown up, so for me now, I don't need to do that for my fun, enjoyment. I find many different other ways that I don't have to do that to find the same enjoyment, same funness, same kind of doing. So like at that time you didn't know other ways, other practice, other things. That is what you know, and so if you don't have that, you feel your life will be boring, because that's all you know how to be fun and enjoyment. So for them, I think maybe probably that is what they feel like.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Rinpoche, I have a question on the same line. So how do some people get to know, and how do some people don't get to know others?
Get to know.
That there could be fun in,
Uh-huh.
community and spirituality
Mm-hmm.
and such, and then some people never get to know.
Well, I guess from karmic, there might be karmic point of view explanations. Some of them have better karma to meet the spiritual and to be in that path, and some does not have not strong karmic imprint to do that. That might be one factor in some cases, but in other cases, in some people, they have never been exposed and given opportunity, whereas because there are some people who, if were given an opportunity or exposed to it, they will probably follow that, but they have never been exposed and be given opportunity there. And so for some people that is the cases. For some people they were given opportunity, they were exposed, but they have certain, they don't feel connected for some reasons, and sometimes it is maybe misunderstanding, sometimes it is mispresented, and a lot of time there is also kind of fear about the spirituality or religions because of misunderstanding on sudden, because they heard something or they have read something and they generalize that in everything, or something they saw something which they couldn't totally grasp and understood something, and then on the basis of that they have misunderstanding, and so because of that then they try to distance themselves from being engaging that kind of spirituality or that, because this scare and fear of something of that because of some misunderstanding. um, in some cases so it is a different situations, for some cases maybe their friend, their family try to force them too forcefully, and so there's always that feeling sometimes, when you feel like someone is forcing you to do something, there is a tendency to kind of reject that, even sometimes when you feel that is the right, but you want to kind of fight with that because you feel like you should be able to yourself and not being forced by someone. And so sometimes there is that kind of feelings where and they try to find their own different from their parent or their friends or something. They want to be different sometimes, and so sometimes in some cases it's like that. And so it could be many different situations for different individuals. I wouldn't say it will be same for everyone who didn't kind of embrace the spirituality. Why they didn't embrace can be a very different reason for different individuals. Yeah, and same for people who embrace the spirituality. Also, it is probably not the same reasons why they embrace it. Different situations and different situation and different things kind of brought them towards the spirituality. So I don't think there is just one answer to that. I think it's individual situations. Yeah. So we'll do the dedications. Yeah. Do the dedication prayer.
Page 235. There's a whole section on dedication prayers. Page 235.
Adela, you want to lead? Then can I have one of the prayer books?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you. So we do the first two in English on page 235. Due to the merit of those virtuous actions, may I fully attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Then we do the page 244, the long life prayers. So again, we'll do in Tibetan. If you want to do in English, you can do so as well. Kare rave purve shingam de pendan dewa malu chungene cheder sewa chenzen gyaso ye shabe sete patu tengyu Tu chang xin cham kun ja we ten zin jong pe we kun su to bo la zi cho sun ku we le mo tu tu pa da so du je bun du sha ten shu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you.